Okay, Mom, it's back to school time, and this year, I'm going to be ready for it. Because now I can save $200 on a Microsoft Surface 3 tablet when I get a Lumia smartphone on AT&T Next.
$200? That's great! As a college student, you could really use that. Does this mean no more living off microwavable noodles?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. With this deal, balancing my responsibilities will be easier than ever.
The Surface 3 would be perfect for downloading textbooks. It's the tablet that can pretty much replace your laptop.
And I can use the Windows Phone to keep up with friends.
Sounds like you'll finally be ready for whatever the school year throws at you.
Like when I go to the grocery store, I get everything I need for the coming week. Teriyaki noodles, beef noodles, and don't forget seafood noodles.
Okay, sure. If that's the best analogy you've got.
Save $200 on a Microsoft Surface 3 when bundled with any Lumia smartphone on AT&T Next. AT&T, mobilizing your world.
Limited time offer. Select locations includes Microsoft Surface 3 64GB only. Microsoft Surface 3 requires 2-year agreement. Must activate wireless service on both devices. Early termination, activation, or upgrade and other fees, charges, and restrictions apply. See a participating store for all for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, you are now tuned in to 110 Sports Talk. I go by the name Lynn Knight. Hey,
it's the best.
Running through the competition, no competition. You don't believe it, turn us up. Sit back and listen. We bringing you the stats, all the breaking news and facts. Want the latest on the biggest trade war, this is where it's at. We don't talk it, boy, we live it. Got that all around coverage. From track and field, you name a field, we got it all covered. No diss to Derrick Rose, but we don't talk that bull. Just wait till he get healthy, better watch out for them bulls. Slide over the hockey, shout out to the Kings. Salute to LeBron James, y'all both got your rings. Looking for the real, you tune into the best. The sportologist and Mr. CJ Sports is up next.
I want to welcome everybody to the One Good Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at. I'll make sure everything on it. There we go. It sounds a little bit better. Usually a little bit louder. There we go. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Glad to be here on the Tuesday night. Just getting off another edition of Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted. If you're not a fan with us on Facebook, all you got to do is check out my fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. You can check out the site and the site and the sports side of the house, 110 Nation Sports, or the radio and the guest side of the house, 110 Nation Sports Radio. I have the link on my page and, of course, the radio side of the house. All the Uninterrupted are on Spreaker, so you guys make sure you guys check that out and catch that link. Don't forget, right now we are on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud, we're on Spreaker, Stitcher. You catch us on YouTube now, too, as well. Bringing multiple different ways for you guys to be able to catch this show. I want to make sure that I welcome and thank all of our Spreaker listeners as we have gained quite a bit of we've gained quite a bit of gathering over there on the Spreaker side of the house, and very, very greatly appreciate that. Tonight, we got ARCA Series driver Josh Williams joining us at 9:30. Looking forward to having the opportunity to meet this young, talented driver. I'm glad to have him come on the show tonight as he just came off a fourth-place finish yesterday at I don't even know how to even pronounce this, Duquesne, and I know I should know how to pronounce that. Sorry, I got wrapped up in between the Ohio State Buckeyes last night and this being a holiday weekend and all the college football that I had the opportunity to watch. And Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted tonight, the episode I had just got done completed was my run through the top 25. Duquesne, there we go. And I got to thank Miss Lee for that one. I had an opportunity to run through the top 25, but I tell you what, I caught more college football this weekend than I probably caught all last season. It just with the schedule change and the opportunity to be here and be able to see all these games. I got a shout out once again, as I shouted out on Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted. I got a shout out to Portland State. beating Washington State. Yes, Mike Leach coached Washington State, giving Portland State their first Pac-12 victory. Congratulations to them. Another Temple beating Penn State. That was another impressive victory in a long time coming for that college. I think it was since like 1940-something or something since that happened. It is 45 or something like that they were talking to the ball boy who had never seen Temple actually beat Penn State. BYU with that Hail Mary over Nebraska, how impressed was that? As their starting quarterback was out hurt and came down to the last play. I tell you what, college football is back. Got to watch most of Darlington. Yes, unfortunately because of my schedule, even though it's a lot easier schedule, because of my schedule and because I was up, had to be up at 4:30 in the morning. As the Darlington race got to be in the latter hours of the night, it was kind of tough. I did doze off, but I did catch most of the race. Was glad to see that. 75 down to 53-man rosters in the NFL. Tennessee will get cut. Kind of surprised. Sam Bradford, I don't think he's ever completed the full season. Mark Sanchez and the whole butt fumble saying, and you decide not to keep Tim Tebow. Was not good enough in your eyes to be a third-string quarterback. Yes, I know statistically he's not that great of a quarterback. But you can tell he's definitely been trying harder and training and trying to improve his throwing. He has some very impressive. One of them, it was a tiptoe catch in the end zone that only the receiver could get to. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. There's a lot of great things in this weekend that happened, and like I said, we got Josh Williams joining us. I can't. It's Tuesday. It's the number one night on the One Ten Nation Sports Radio Network. Don't want to take anything away from the other shows, not the Monday show, not the Wednesday show. Sure do not want to take anything away from Racing with Big Sweat on Thursday nights, hosted by Steve Billmeyer. If you've not come and you've not checked out the show, I tell you what, Thursday nights, it's going to be an interesting one. This is going to be one we don't actually have guests call in. Of course, with NASCAR running at Darlington and the whole Confederate flag topic got brought up once again. And so that's going to be the focus. They're wanting call-ins and DMs, in other words, direct messages, for those that got any comments or questions or anything they want to add to it. Basically, the gloves will come off Thursday nights as long as there's no bashing on each other. Anything and everything pretty much goes as long as there's no cussing. So looking forward to seeing how Thursday night show rolls off there. Like I said, 9 o'clock. On Thursday nights, usually goes till 10 at the earliest, up to 11 o'clock. It usually depending on guests, so this one would depend on how many callers we have. So looking for that. And, of course, Friday night, we got Flyball Fridays with Reese Nobles, our host, just to bring you the MLB for a 30-minute show. So I don't want to take anything away from those shows, and I tell you what, definitely won't take nothing away from Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted, is I like the gathering we're getting of that show. And the Thursday, the Spreaker crowd over there is really showing the love in making it one of the more popular. I love having the opportunity to do the shows on Spreaker. I get 3 full hours, and I get to break it up. BTR, we get 2 hours a day on the plan we are right now. And sadly enough, the cost for Spreakers is half of what it is BTR, but I get an hour more, and I get to break it up. I could have 10, 30-minute shows a day if I wanted to. So what we're looking at is trying to have as many up-to-date topics, breaking news, whatever, scenarios that we can have on the Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted or any other time that we want. We get to play with it. What's great also about it is every show that I've done so far has been on the phone. They got this cool app, and actually the audio sounds even better, even though I'm doing it on my phone. So a lot of great things. The only thing keeping us from dropping VCR, honestly, going to Spreaker as our only carrier and upping it so we can do, what I'm paying, we could do 5 hours, is they don't have a call-in number. That's really the only thing holding us back at this point. from actually switching over. But anyway, a lot of great things going on at the 110 Nation. Make sure you check out our official website, www.the110nation.com. Also check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, for all the latest articles we have going on there. It's something that we're starting to get a better focal point on. We got some articles over there, but we're starting to really kind of crack down and try to get more articles on it and more up-to-date stuff. So make sure you guys check that out as well. Talk a little bit about the top 25 before we get Josh Williams on this evening. A lot of great games this weekend. A lot of great things going on in the NCAA. I was glad to have an opportunity to sit and watch a bunch of games this weekend. It's something I don't traditionally get to do. And so had this opportunity this weekend to sit down. I would say I caught parts of, most of, half of, whatever the case may be, probably good 10, 15 games this weekend. Love having the opportunity to doing that. Kind of the same thing, kind of the same story. A bunch of top 25 teams really playing a bunch of nobodies. Some nobodies better than some others nobodies. There was only a few, I think, legitimate games out there that, I was kind of, impressed that we got to see and was impressed that it was on the slate this weekend. We have number 25, Tennessee, 59-30 over Bowling Green State. I tell you what, for an SEC team in their division that was highly spoke upon and favored to take their side of it, Tennessee, 557 total yards is what they allow Bowling Green State to get. I tell you what, if they want to be considered legitimate contenders in any part of the SEC, you can't allow 557 total yards. You can't allow 433 yards in the air. Was really surprised when I seen that. Bowling Green quarterback Matt Johnson, 27 of 49, 424 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very, very impressive afternoons for Bowling Green State's quarterback and that offensive side of the ball in their 30-59 loss. Like I said, Tennessee, you got to get on the roll. You're not going to be able to contend with the rest of the SEC, regardless of what side you're on, and allowing almost 600 yards a game. It's just not going to happen. It's going to get the better of you. I tell people all the time, you can't outscore everybody all the time. Eventually, your defense has got to show up. Yes, you can outscore enough teams to get in the playoffs or have a nice season, but to win championships, to be considered contenders, you got to stop somebody. Almost 600 yards for an unranked Bowling Green State? No, it's not going to happen. 24th ranked Missouri. Got to have a home game against Southeast Missouri State. Victorious. Missouri was 34-3. Another kind of give-me game. Really not anything big out there. No 100-yard rushers. Not even a 200-yard passer. Missouri's quarterback, Matty Mock, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns. Missouri did keep Southeast Missouri to 201 total yards. Kind of another give-me game. Boise State I was not impressed with as well, even though they're 23rd ranked. 16-13 over unranked Washington. Was not happy at all. They was only able to get 337 yards. Luckily for them, they only allowed Washington 179 total yards. So really another team that kind of had me a give me and gotcha. It didn't take full advantage of it, and so Boise State, you're going to have a tough season. Another one that kind of surprised me, 22 ranked Arizona, 42-32 over UTSA. Really expected more out of Arizona State. If UTSA wanted to turn the ball over 2 times, they might have went the other way. Arizona has 392 total yards, but UTSA 525 total yards. Their quarterback Blake Bogenshaw, went 25 of 43, 332 yards, 2 touchdowns. Arizona is another one of those teams that we might not see. Yes, that's where Hannah goes, obviously. They were not impressed. And what gets me about Boise State is that's one of those teams that everybody keeps talking about every year. Oh, they got this undefeated record. Oh, they beat this team and that team and by this score and that score. What they don't seem to also mention is they play a bunch of nobodies. They're in a nobody kind of conference situation. And when they play somebody that's somewhat legitimacy to it, they 16-13. I mean, I don't want to throw Washington under the bus because over the last couple of years, the program has gotten better. See, well, my issue with the NCAA is if you're in the top 25 or you want to be considered to be in the top 25, 8 out of your 12 games need to be against top 50 teams. Stop this. You play half your schedule or most of your schedule against nobody. 8 out of your 4 games. I give you 4 gimmies. I give you an opportunity to help 4 colleges have TV time, get money, and help their programs. Other 8 games need to be against legitimate opponents. So in other words, 2 of your 4 gimme games need to be against your weak teams in your conferences, and at least 2, maybe 4 of your legitimate games need to be against conference opponents. The other 2 can be against legitimate whoever, or 4 can be against legitimate teams in other conferences. You need 8 out of your 4 to be a top 50 opponent. Stop just playing around stuff, and let's get legit. 21st ranked Stanford loses at Northwestern 16-6. Yes, Stanford, you've mustered up 6 lousy points. 6 points. I don't think anything away from Northwestern as that program in the Big Ten has been getting better and better. Matter of fact, we've seen them a couple times ranked very well in the last couple of years. With a game that only seen 22 measly points and only 570 total yards, third down conversions really made the big difference. Northwestern, 12 of 22. Stanford, 3 of 15. No wonder. You can't get first downs. You can't give your offense an opportunity to move the ball down the field. You're not going to win. You're not going to put points on the board. Stanford is a prime example. Why? 6 points, and you lose Northwestern. Wisconsin, 20th ranked Wisconsin. Alabama gets credit for the home. They pretty much played on a neutral field. Third ranked Alabama. Jake Coker didn't get the start right before the game. Really a lot of uncertainty who was going to be the quarterback, if he was going to be up to the task, or if Nick Saban was going to go with Cooper Bateman. He went with Jake Coker. I think he did it was a great choice for the quarterback. Coker, 15-21, 213 yards, 1 touchdown. Very impressed with that. I think the big key point out of this was Wisconsin, 40 total yards. After Melvin Gordon and everything we've seen that Wisconsin team do last year in the rushing, 40 total yards is all you can muster up against Alabama. That's why you got your butt handed to you. It was close at halftime, but we got second half things kind of separated. A couple other notables is I kind of run through these a little bit quicker. 19th ranked Oklahoma, 41-3 over Akron. Neither team had a running back over 50 yards, but Oklahoma did finish with 539 total yards, 439 of them coming passing, as Baker Mayfield went 23 of 33, 388 yards, 3 touchdowns. Akron, as a team, 6 of 26, 88 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. There's a reason why you only scored 3 points. UTEP scored 13 against number 18th ranked Arkansas, who got 48 points. Max Leftwich of UTEP, 9 of 14, 120 yards. Brandon Allen of Arkansas, 14 of 18. Yes, 14 of 18, almost 80%, 308 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did a great job for Arkansas. Their top rushers, 12 rushes, 127 yards. Total yards, Arkansas 490, UTEP's 204. 3 turnovers. UTEP really helped make a difference in this game. Not the score was really that close. Prime example of a watered-down schedule. Ole Miss against Tennessee Martin, 76-3. I don't care all the records that you guys want to throw out there. That Ole Miss mustered up in this victory is ridiculous. This is the opponent. This is ridiculous. The schedule. Ole Miss used 3 quarterbacks, 19 of 28, 324 yards, 5 touchdowns. Ole Miss rushed for 336 yards. 7 of those 8 players rushed for between 20 and 88 yards. In other words, they gave everybody an opportunity to get their hands on the ball. It was kind of a free-for-all. 662 total yards versus 290. Another gimme game, Georgia Tech, 16th ranked, 59-6 over Alcorn State. Alcorn State just managed to get 166 total rushing yards. Why is that a key point? Why is that something big? Why does that make a difference? Why does that number stick out? Because of the fact that Georgia Tech's Marcus Marshall alone, 8 rushes, 184 yards. Yes, he had 18 more total rushing yards in the entire Alcorn State. And what makes things even worse, but Alcorn State only threw for 106 yards. Here's another interesting fact about this game. Passing was not, it was basically obsolete. Even though Georgia Tech scored 69 yards, 75 points scored in this game. Georgia Tech combined 4 for 5, 77 total passing yards, 1 touchdown. Yes, you heard that right, 69 points. And their total quarterback performance out there, 4 for 5. That was it. 5 passing attempts, 77 yards. How do you manage to do that? That is ridiculous. 553 total yards. Alcorn State's total combined 10 of 28, 106 yards. And I think that is just phenomenal. In the 75-point score, there was only 183 total passing yards. To me, that is crazy. It's not something you commonly see in the NCAA game. 15th ranked Arizona State, highly overranked, obviously. 17 to Texas A&M, 38 points. Arizona's third down conversion really just hurt them. 5 of 18, 10 punts. And really nobody else in this game stood out. Texas A&M impressed a lot of people. Arizona State just showed that they were highly overrated is what it boils down to me. LSU and McNinsey, their game was, and LSU was ranked 14th, but their game was suspended due to lightning, persistent lightning, so they will be playing that game later on. UCLA at home, 13th ranked, 34-16 over Virginia. Statistically, they were pretty close. The score is really the only thing that was really a big difference outside of the fact that UCLA had 503 total yards. Virginia just 336. Quarterbacks both put on a display. What's crazy about this is Virginia quarterback Matt Jones went 21 of 35, 60%. That's good numbers. In most games, a team would love quarterback that hit 60%, 238 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, they could have done without the 1 interception, but great performance. What's crazier is the fact that UCLA's quarterback, Josh Rosen, 28 of 35, 80%. Just had a 351 on the yardage, 3 touchdowns. Obviously, he's going to be looked at as a Heisman Trophy candidate, put on a display there. But it's just crazy to know that one quarterback, 60%, 238 yards, a touchdown. Good, solid game, overshadowed highly by Josh Rosen and what he did for UCLA. Clemson at home, 12th ranked Clemson at home, 49-10 over Wofford. Wofford as a team, 6 of 17, 91 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, no rushers. Not only did you not throw for not even for 100 yards, you didn't have a single rusher over 31 yards. 533 total yards versus 213. As Clemson put on a nice display against really a nobody, but put on a nice display. Number 11 ranked Notre Dame over Texas. Yes, I want to make sure I'm clear with this. Texas Longhorns, 38-3 over the Longhorns. Key numbers here: Malik Zaire, quarterback for Notre Dame, 19 of 22, almost 90%, 86.4%, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns. Phenomenal game for Notre Dame. Texas, 60 rushing yards total, 60. As Notre Dame all over the Texas. Well, it's going to be a long season for Texas. And Coach Strong might not be there for the whole season the way this is looking. Texas State went into Florida State, another highly overrated Florida State team. 59-16, yes, we're going to have a couple Heisman notables. As quarterback Everett Golson, 19 of 25, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns. Very impressive. If he would have been playing somebody, but Texas State, we'll see how that goes. Their running back, Dalvin Cook, 19 rushes, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mario Ponder also had 14 rushes, 92 yards. Texas State not had a running back over 39 yards, 166 yards. Why is that a big deal? Because Dalvin Cook had 156 alone. 10 yards separated them two. Florida State, 636 yards. Texas State, 300 yards. Georgia at home, 9th-ranked Georgia, 51-14 over Louisiana Monroe. What is crazy about the fact that they scored 51 points? Yes, why didn't they score more points? The game was called with 9:54. Basically, 10 minutes left in the game. They called the game, lightning delays and everything else. They just went ahead and called it. Anyway, Monroe was coming back anyway. But impressive numbers for the fact that they only played basically 3 quarters. Monroe's team had 45 total rushing yards. Georgia 435 total yards to Monroe's 251. What's also crazy about the 51 points that Georgia scored, Georgia quarterbacks combined 10 of 14, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. Most of their yardage on the ground. Nick Chubb, 16 rushes, 120 yards. Arkansas State goes into USC, ninth-ranked USC. USC wins 55-6. Key things that turn out there: USC 509 yards, Arkansas State 401. Very close on that. Key thing that really just kind of shot the momentum is the fact that Arkansas had 4 turnovers. Neither team was good on third down conversion. Arkansas State 6 of 19, and USC was 3 of 10. And we're gonna talk about the rest of the games later on. But football's back. It's great not only to have. I tell people all the time, this is like one of the greatest times of the year. You got NCAA football just kicked off last weekend. You got NFL kicks off Thursday night. You got one more race before you hit the chase. Then the next thing you know, the NBA season starts, the NHL season starts. Baseball, Major League Baseball, getting ready to go into their playoffs. You can't ask for a better time of the year as this time of the year, as every sport is in full effect, and it's just crazy. And I tell you what, having this new schedule and having the opportunity to basically have all the weekend free. Yeah, I might work till 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday. Lately, I've been getting Fridays off. I tell you what, I do not want to lose the schedule I have because even though I'm stuck home Fridays and Saturday nights watching kids, I would not trade the opportunity to sit here and I have watched more K&N Pro Series, more ARCA Series races, more Truck Series races, more college games than I've probably caught combined previously this year. It's been great and makes it even more exciting to have the great guests we have on and have an opportunity to sit here and basically be on 10, 15 different shows throughout the week. Speaking of having great guests on, we got Josh Williams of the ARCA Series coming on. Got him in the studio. Get ready to plug him in. Looking forward to having an opportunity not to only get to know Mr. Williams a little bit better when it comes to on the track, but off the track as well. Just glad to have this opportunity to sit down and have a nice conversation. I know it's considered an interview and everything else, but it always turns into a great conversation. I love being able to have the opportunity to do this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get him on the show. Josh, how are you doing tonight?
I'm very good, buddy. Just enjoying a little bit of relaxation after that long weekend we had.
I can only imagine. I essentially between relationships, basically raised 4 kids. One is actually mine. The other 3 I've taken on is basically being mine. Have a full-time job, do this and do that. And I know what's my hectic schedule, what I feel is a hectic schedule is like. I can only imagine what your schedule is like on a day-to-day, week-to-week, and even month-to-month basis is. So I can only imagine every opportunity you guys get to be able to get off your feet and just kind of take a minute and relax and take a breath of fresh air. I can only imagine how valuable that is. Before we jump into this, I want to give you an opportunity, in case we don't get a time at the end, to be able to plug any kind of social media so that listeners can follow you, keep up with you as you continue the season in your career. Any kind of website, team site, your site, sponsors, anything you want to throw out there real quick. That way we get that out of the way in case we don't get that at the end. So people get to know you just a little bit better.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Everybody can follow us on our Twitter page at Josh6Williams, or check us out on our website at joshwmotorsports.com. You can check us out and follow us, see what the latest happenings are, keep up with our Musselman's Applesauce Chevrolet, and keep up with our Team Anya Kale campaign and see how things are going with that as well.
It's always interesting to me to learn how this all comes about. And you know, we get a lot of great drivers on, and they as early as 4 or 5 years old in go-karts. And it's always entertaining to me because I have a 17-year-old daughter, straight A, honor student, AP classes, about as book smart as you can get. I couldn't ground her because all she did was read. So taking the radio or TV away from her never did any good. But to get her to walk from one end of the house to the other without tripping over her own 2 feet is a task. I have a son, maybe he's not as book smart, but he's my son, and the same goes for him as well. And then, of course, the 4 and the 5-year-old live with me. They trip and everything else. So to hear people talk as early as 4 or 5 years old in go-karts, the 4 kids I've had to raise, I just couldn't imagine it ever. So I always enjoy hearing as I've had the opportunity to grow and I've watched more kids grow, to know, not everybody gets this opportunity and not everybody is as, gifted and be able to do these things. Where did it all begin, and what age did you get into racing?
My dad, he raced, for a long time, even before I was born, and I grew up around it my whole life. I was, going to the racetrack 1, 2 years old, and they built me a custom go-kart when I was 2.5. I had a 5-horsepower Briggs motor on it, and Dad would ride on it with me, and he started teaching me when I was real young, and basically started competition racing when I was 4.5 in go-karts, and then moved to quarter midgets, bandoleros, legends cars, pro trucks, late models, sportsmans, and eventually now we're here in the ARCA Racing Series. So we tried to follow the steps up through pretty much like everybody else does, and just the only thing I've ever done. I did play normal sports, your regular baseball and basketball stuff, but racing was it. I couldn't do the normal sports. I had to stick with racing. It is just so much fun, and it's a huge adrenaline rush for me, and it's just a passion. I love it.
Now, starting at such a young age, just, growing up, it always seemed there wasn't enough hours in the day. And I tried to have somewhat good grades, so I did do some of my homework. I was an average student. I didn't try to overexert myself. I don't know why. I guess this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But, I also had a job, and I was an ROTC, and so you had drill team and all that other stuff. And I know how hectic it can be, even with I guess you could say, normal high school or normal school life. How was it like growing up and trying to maintain a productive and prosperous racing career on top of having school and trying to have a social life and everything else? How difficult was that?
It's definitely difficult. I remember middle school, things like that. They would pick me up on a Friday right after school was over. Mom and Dad picked me up in the trailer, and we'd go straight to the racetrack from there. And as I got older, I started, having to miss a lot of days of school and bring my work with me and get permission from teachers and things like that. And my last 2 years of high school, I was actually homeschooled. So we'd travel more and things like that. And it's just, we had to do it. It come down to the point where we were racing so much during 1 year. I mean, we were running almost 60, 65 races a year. And you start missing a lot of school. So it was just easier for us to do the homeschool deal. And a lot of kids nowadays are doing that, even younger than when I started, just to stick with it. It's tough. I mean, it's just like anything else. If you want to be good at baseball, you got to stick with it. If you want to be good at basketball, you got to stick with it. And racing, you got to be in the seat. So that's what me and my family looked at, and that's what we stuck with, and it seemed to work out pretty good.
At what age did you realize that this just wasn't a sport or a hobby or maybe even something that you just enjoyed doing, but this was something that you knew that was going to be a career, that is something that you knew that you could be successful at?
I would probably say, right before I turned 15. I actually moved to Lexington, North Carolina right as I turned 15. I was close to turning 15, and started living with Barry Owen, great crew chief back in the day, won a lot of races, and we started building a ARCA chassis from the ground up. And at that point, I said, this is what I want to do forever. I want to try to make it a career. And I feel like when I was younger than that, you really don't understand the whole process of what goes into all this. But the older I got and the more experience I got, it's something I just wanted to stick with. So I'm sticking with it to the end.
Now, Ms. Lee threw in a comment talking about quite the commitment from your parents. I tell you what, a lot of when you talk about not your normal sports, and I think when it comes to parents, when it comes to race car drivers, you don't have the normal parents as well, because there's a lot more when it comes to racing. There's a lot more cost. There's a lot more time. There's a lot more danger. And I tell you what, parents of drivers, that's got to be a very tough role to kind of take on, not only being a parent, but the cost and the time consumption and the risk. I can only imagine being a parent and my kid being out there knowing that any race there could be something that severely goes wrong. Has your parents been involved the whole time to including now, or as you got more farther in your career, did they have an opportunity to kind of step back and kind of watch everything kind of grow as you moved on into bigger and better things?
We've always stuck together as a family, and even now being in a higher level like the ARCA series, we're still a family-owned team and a family-based team. My parents are usually there every weekend, and Dad, him being a racer, he still gets a little nervous. We start running up front and things like that. But, my mom's watched me catch on fire, break my arm, all kinds of stuff, wreck pretty bad. And even though I'm 22, she still gets nervous standing on top of the pit box watching me race. But we've always been together through everything, and we stick together. And like you said, the dedication of parents, I think, seeing a lot of these parents nowadays, and I think my parents are more dedicated than most that I've seen in the sport in the past few years. They stick with me, they stick with my passion, and they help me out along the way, and whatever I put my mind to, they're always supporting me. So, family plays a big role in motorsports for sure.
Now, you talking about your father was a racer. Have you had an opportunity to be on the track at the same time, just you and him on some track time or any kind of special event? Have you ever had the opportunity to be on the track with him?
We haven't. I was running Legends cars in 2006, 2007, as he was running Pro Trucks his last year in 2007, and he won his last feature and handed me the steering wheel for the truck and said, all right, it's your turn, I'm done. And, he's played around a little bit since then, but I haven't had the opportunity to actually race with him, from green to checkered. We joke about it all the time, and he tells me that, I might be good, but never as good as him. So I think it'd be a blast. He taught me everything I know, and he's still teaching me to this day. I consider him, one of the best wheelmen I've ever watched.
Now, how difficult is it being a family-based team? Right? I know the ARCA series is not quite the same as the Nationwide series and the Sprint Cup series when you start talking about Hendricks and Penske's and all these highly funded teams. But yet, there's some teams out there in the ARCA series that they got their good funding, they got their sponsorships, and they tend to be able to afford to try to be the best of the best in that series. Being a family-based team, how difficult is that to be competitive out there week in and week out and compare, and compete with some of these, little bit better teams?
It's very difficult. You got to take into consideration these guys got, X amount of employees working, even when they're at the track. There's still somebody there working on their cars. They've got access to pull-down machines and as many tires as they want. motor rebuilds and at-track engineers and tuners, and, you know, a lot of it, you know, some of the guys, you know, you got Gallagher Motorsports and Mason Mitchell Motorsports, the Venerinis, you know, they spend a lot of money, and we look at it like, you know, we're at a disadvantage, but we don't want to see it as that. We think we should be just as good as them, you know, even though they have all those resources.
Now, I know previous years, you know, the ARCA Series and the KN Pro Series didn't necessarily get as much TV time as, thankfully, NBC taking over is you know, been a lot more generous with the TV time, and that's why I've gotten to catch a lot more KN Pro and ARCA Series races. Has that really been reflected? Have you guys, as drivers, noticed an increase in maybe viewership or popularity because such as, you know, what NBC is doing and trying to help, you know, I guess grow awareness in these other series to help, you know, kind of populate it as well?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I feel like it's great. The fans want to watch, you know, they want to follow a driver, you know, up through the ranks, and I feel like more TV time for the ARCA Series and the K&N Pro Series is really good for us as drivers and for the sport in general, just to get more fans out there. And a lot of the younger kids watch the races and they go, hey, that kid's not that much older than me, or hey, I'm the same age as him, and it gets them interested in the sport, and it just creates more fans, and that's what we need. Is this sport's revolved around fans. It's the way the drivers make money, the teams make money, the tracks make money, and it's the way the circle revolves. If there's no fans in the seats, there's no cars on the track.
How in your opinion, how competitive, and is this the most competitive sport? And what I mean is, when you start off 3, 4, 5, 2.5, however you want to start off, yes, it's not that expensive. Well, I'm not going to say that expensive, but not as expensive to be out there in the go-kart. So you got a lot of young children. And then as you get older, it gets a little bit more expensive. And so the numbers kind of start trickling down, and then you start getting into the KN Pro Series, and then the ARCA Series is even less, and the Truck Series. I mean, you ultimately think how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of kids are out there every Friday and Saturday night, and young adults ultimately competing for 43 spots. It's not like the NFL where you got 32 teams with 53 players on the roster. You have 43 spots, and that's it in the Sprint Cup Series. And you ultimately either got to beat out the back half of the Sprint Cup Series, or ultimately have to wait until your Gordons retire, your Stewarts retire, for a spot to open up. So you're looking at something that is probably one of the most competitive sports. How competitive is it really? And do you consider this probably the most competitive sport in the world?
I agree with you 100%. It is competitive, and a lot of people don't look at it, you know, like you just explained, but it's the truth. There's kids from 4 years old to adults at 60 that I still see out there driving and trying to make it every day, and it is difficult. It's very difficult this day and age, like you said, the funding and sponsorship, things like that. It's very difficult and really competitive, and every driver's goal is to, you know, take the green at Daytona in the 43-car field, you know, for a Sprint Cup Series. It's a tough battle, but it is very competitive.
I couldn't imagine, you know. Like I said, you sit there and think about other sports. I think the only other one that might be somewhat close is the NBA, because you only really got 5 spots that, I mean, you know you got to win a 10-man roster. You're still down to 3,300, but that's still nowhere close to ultimately 43 drivers. Is basically 43 spots is what you're looking at. And I would say a good 20 of them, unless they retire, they're not going anywhere. Your Gordons, your Earnhardts, your Patricks, your Stewarts, your Boyers. We can name 20 drivers, and until they retire, they're not leaving that sport. And so ultimately, there's not a lot of room to. You really got to be on your P's and Q's. You're talking about having the opportunity to kind of relax a little bit. What's your kind of schedule like? I mean, I know you got testing. I know you got qualifying. You got racing. You got your sponsorship commitments, and you know your all that kind of stuff. What is a normal week like for you? How much time do you actually get to yourself, and even more on a kind of more of a personal level? What do you do to kind of clear your mind? You go fishing, you go hunting. What do you do to kind of just take a moment? This is my moment. I want to take a deep breath, clear my mind, kind of rejuvenate myself, and get ready for the next day or the next race or whatever the occasion might be.
We usually don't get a lot of off time, especially with my guys. There's only 3 guys full time in the shop, and I make the 4th one. And every morning we start work at 7:00, and we might stop at 4, or we might stop at 7:00 at night, or we might go till 1 in the morning. It just depends. Being down on guys, and the schedule gets a little tough, mid-season, and right there at the end, you're just trying to be prepared for anything, especially if you're in the points battle like ourselves. And when we do get some off time, actually hunting season's coming up here in about 5 or 6 days, and I enjoy that a lot. And we got 13 acres up here in Concord, so we're outside the city limits, so we get to shoot some guns and things like that, and just have some good fun in the backyard. So that's our way to relax.
I bet it is. It sounds. It was something I was supposed to do last weekend, as a matter of fact. Plans got canceled, but definitely relaxing. Definitely an opportunity. Second in points behind Grant Enfinger. Nice close point race. Finished 4th yesterday, as a matter of fact. What are your so far in your career? What is the biggest highlight? What's the biggest thing that you've accomplished that you're most proud of, that you felt that you put the most in, and you got what you felt you should have got out of it, or rewarded out of it? Some things come easy and some things come accidental, but there's always that one thing that you put everything into that makes you feel most proud of what you accomplished.
I feel like our effort this season. I feel like our effort this season, running second in points right here with 3 races to go, that's the greatest accomplishment I think that I've ever been a part of in my entire racing career. To run against these guys, like you said, with a lot of funding and things like that, and to have our family-based team is phenomenal. I think it's just it's mind-blowing, actually, to look at the points and be like, wow, we've actually got a shot at this thing. It is a close points battle, and anything can happen, on my end and on Grant's end as well. You just got to be there to capitalize.
On the next 3 races coming up, which one do you feel most confident that if you're going to win a race, or actually when you're going to win the race this year, which track do you feel most confidently will be that track?
I feel like the next race we're coming to, Salem, Indiana. I like the track a lot. We've always had good success there. We're bringing a car this year that we've had very good success with at the beginning of the season. Ran up front, just come up a little shy on late race cautions and things like that. But I feel like we're really going to put a good piece together and try to win Salem.
Growing up, what driver did you idolize? They don't necessarily have to be a NASCAR driver, because we have a lot of drivers come on that, might be a Formula One, Indy driver, a Baja driver, whatever. Everybody grows up, especially in the racing world, just, idolizing or watching every type of racing. What driver did you grow up idolizing, and who's your current driver?
As a kid, I always loved to watch Dale Earnhardt drive.
The most common answer.
He's just, he back in the day, he was a real racer, and nowadays you really don't see people like that anymore. The guy that would do anything it took to win the race, even though he didn't have the best car. He wouldn't complain over the radio about his AC not working, or things like that. And it's just, I look at him as an icon in the sport, as everyone else does, and I would like to be, like him one day, want everybody to know who I am and you know, talk about me even when I'm gone.
With you moving up, I just told him, drew a blank, but I remember now. With you know, the big picture of being in the Sprint Cup Series one day, you know, obviously any changes in any different packages, you know, obviously is going to affect you at one point or another. So my next two questions are kind of geared towards the future, but have to do with the present time. One, the safety of NASCAR, and they're constantly trying to stay up on top of the safety. You know, unfortunately, sometimes they don't realize there's a safety issue until something happens, such as Kyle Busch early in this year. Didn't really think, you know, maybe we need to start paving more of the infield so, you know, you're not sliding through the grass and hitting the wall faster or harder than you should. You know, different things. I mean, obviously, Dale Sr. and what happened, you know, it was one of those things that, okay, this happened. Now we realize we should have done this. You know, but NASCAR ultimately tries to stay on top of that. So, one, how safe do you feel in these cars? Do you feel that you're basically wrapped in bubble wrap? You know, I think everybody we've talked to so far feels pretty safe and confident what NASCAR is doing. But also, too, what NASCAR is doing now, way they're changing the rule packages, way they kind of tweak the chase and everything to kind of bring excitement to this, you know, to the sport and draw attention. So, one, how comfortable do you feel in these cars? And two, do you like what NASCAR is doing as you're trying to advance to keep this sport being competitively interesting, but at the same time draw, you know, the eyes, the viewers, the attendance back?
Yes, sir. I feel like the safety is always progressing. The seats, the Hans device, seat belts. I mean, everything down to roll bar padding. You know, they do a fantastic job. And as you've seen at Daytona this year, was it Austin Dillon's wreck? That was something that you never see, and he walked right out of it and just had a couple bruises. These cars are very safe, and they're only getting better, and they don't stop. You know, they don't stop trying to make these things safer for us as a driver. And it's an ongoing thing, and it's good for the whole sport, because if NASCAR does something, you know, it's like a ladder. It goes from the top all the way down to the bottom to your local short track stuff, your go-karts and things like that. So they help the whole racing community in general.
I remember, I don't think I've asked any of the drivers we've had on this. I might have asked one, I can't remember. But when you see a wreck like Austin Dillon, what goes through your mind as another driver, and knowing that you're going to get back on this track and knowing what just happened, what goes through your mind when you see something like that?
I mean, when I seen the wreck, I know, you know, I've wrecked pretty hard before, and I know what's going to hurt the next day. And I told the guys, I think we were watching on TV, I said, man, I said that hurt my chest, you know, just trying to watch it, and it's just crazy. The feeling you get when you see it from outside, you know, as a fan is so different. You know, if you're in the car itself, you don't really realize how bad it is until you get out and you watch it yourself, and to see it even as a driver from the outside, you're like, man, that hurt. You know it hurts, but you know they're safe as well, like we talked about earlier, all the safety equipment you have today.
We're almost done with the 2015 season. Have you guys laid out any plans for the 2016 season yet, or you guys kind of waiting for this season to finish out and play out how it's going to play before you guys look forward to the next season?
Yeah, we're, you know, you always have to plan ahead, and that's what we're doing right now. Basically, this sport revolves around sponsorship and funding, and that's what we're working on for 2016 to hopefully move up in the ladder a little bit, or possibly stay in the ARCA series for another year, and if we don't pull off the championship this year, try to win it next year, as well as run a few K&N races, things like that, and possibly, if funding's available, run some Xfinity stuff or some Camping World truck races. But we definitely always try to plan for the next year. you never know what's going to happen. So you definitely got to plan ahead. Somebody could call you tomorrow and say, hey, let's go racing, and you got to be prepared.
Is there a big difference between the ARCA Series, driving an ARCA Series car and a K&N Pro car? And if so, how difficult is it to, run one series one day and then a day or two later running the other?
I haven't myself had the opportunity to run the K&N car. Their weight's a little different, their power's a little different. I think with the Ilmore motor we have in the ARCA Series now, we're mid-sevens on the horsepower. We still weigh 3,400 pounds. I think K&N car's 3,100 and some change. I think they're right at 700, maybe a little less. It is different. Every car is different. Trucks, Xfinity, Cup, ARCA, K&N, everything drives a little bit different. Being able to adapt helps out a bunch, just being able to jump in something, feel it, and know what you got. So I feel like they are different to drive for sure. It's just how fast you can adapt from one to the other.
Josh, I don't want to tie you up any longer. I want you to be able to relax and get yourself prepared for next week, as sounds like you are pretty confident in how your performance is going to go next week. I definitely want to wish you good luck on your final 3 races, so hopefully we'll see you in victory lane. Hopefully you continue having a nice points battle for the lead. Like I said, definitely want to wish you luck for the rest of the season and the 2016 season. Looking forward to be able to see the race. Hopefully NBC Sports will be doing it live. If not, I definitely will catch it whenever they play it. Some of them they do you guys live. Sometimes they post time or delay it or whatever. But definitely looking forward to either way, be able to catch it 2 weeks. My bad, not next week. So definitely going to be looking out for that. Looking forward to having you back, hopefully sometime soon. Love to, especially if you win the point series, love to know what it's like to be an ARCA Series champion and what definitely everything falls into place at that point. So the door is definitely open and looking forward to hopefully having you back. But like I said, good luck on the rest of the season, and I hope you enjoy relaxing the rest of this evening.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and hopefully we can put our Sundog Eyewear Musselman's Apples and Chevrolet in Victory Lane at Salem and come back on the show and tell you all about it.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely be keeping in touch, and you have a great night.
I appreciate it, buddy. You too.
Thank you. That was Josh Williams, second place in the ARCA Series points, finished 4th yesterday at DuQuoin. Definitely heating things up in the ARCA Series is your top 4 drivers, very talented drivers. We've had Grant on the show. We've had Austin Wayne himself, and we've even had 6th place Sarah Cornett-King on the show as well. Very talented top 6, top 10 drivers in this series, and so definitely excited and glad to have Josh on. We're definitely going to make sure that we check him in 2 weeks at Salem to see how he does. Hopefully he gets into victory lane, gets a W in that column, and to go with those 6 top 5s and 14 top 10s, and really put the heat on Grant to make this last 2 races be a very interesting points battle. Very, very excited about having the ARCA Series on ABC. It's great because, for the last 6 or 7 years, I didn't want to pay for cable. I was cheap. I was like, whatever. I had as many hours I was putting in both jobs and doing all the shows. I figured I'd just catch up when I can catch up or go places and catch what I can. And then, of course, back in March when we moved in over here, Shorty decided we were going to have cable. And she pretty much lets me get whatever we get on the cable. I got every sports channel, plus the whole NFL stuff. Not the NFL package because we ain't got direct, but the Red Zone, and that opened up about 20 different college channels. That's how I was watching all the college games this weekend. But NBC Sports picking up and doing the K&N Pro Series and doing the ARCA Series. Honestly, I've seen more of, all these other series run than I have in probably my whole life, and it's great. Not only is it great because I love watching racing, and of course I love sports, but it's great because the exposure, the attention it brings to the sport, it's just great for sponsorship. It's great for bringing attention to these drivers' names. Notoriety, I guess is the word I'm trying to say. I'm trying to use big words I shouldn't be using. And I'm sure I'll get a message or two telling me to slow down with the big words. But it's great. Even though a lot of the races I catch are delayed, and the other day I was really irked. I forget which race I was watching. Oh, what series was it? I was watching the K&N Pro West. It was a road course. I can't remember which track it was. They had a bunch of cars go off the track. As a matter of fact, whatever team it was, they had first, second, third, and I think all three of the drivers ended up going off the track at different points. I think the biggest thing that irked me about NBC Sports is I understand that they were under time restraint and had to get it in, but they chopped up a little bit too much of the race because Yes, I know. Everybody lost me. It was the 10 o'clock hour. I swear to goodness, I got to get a different phone because I don't know why at the halfway point it cuts me off every day on show. We're definitely going to have to get Mr. CJ Sports a different cell phone because this is ridiculous that for some reason it hangs up on itself at the halfway point. I don't get it. I really wish Spreaker had a daggone call-in number. Or we actually had our own studio already, so we had a dedicated line and somebody in there because we'd have fixed all this technical difficulty stuff we've had over the last couple of weeks. But anyway, it's just great to be able to watch some of this great action, and thankful that I'm with somebody that makes it possible for me to have all these sports channels. I tell you what, I get so lost in sports on the weekend because outside of having a kid, I have no car right now, so that's all I have is being sports and the TV. Excuse me. So and now the college football is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now that you got K&N Pro and ARCA Series, and then the Truck Series, and then the Nation or the Xfinity Series, the Sprint Cup. Now that you got NFL starting this Thursday, I will try to mislead. I don't think that's the issues. I believe there's been a time or two that I have done that. But I tell you what, having this channel is just great. And so definitely taking advantage of that. But, yeah, thankful for having Josh Williams on the show. We didn't get that confirmed until earlier today and then found out and really got excited throughout the day knowing we was going to have such a talented driver on the show. So definitely thankful all that worked out the way it did, and got something to look forward to today. Don't forget, we're on Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch Thursday nights Racing with Big Sweats at 9 o'clock. Goes until 10:30, 11 o'clock sometimes, depending on how many guests this week. Topic of conversation, the fact that they were at Darlington and the Confederate flag whole conversation got brought up. That is going to be the hot topic of the night. You can call in, just like you can call in here at 718-664-9861. They're definitely looking for people to call in, direct message the show, direct message any of our Facebook, Twitter, however you want to get a hold of us. If you want to throw your comments, questions, or anything else out there. Looking forward to a great crowd and hoping that we have enough callers that we drag past 10 o'clock. It will be scheduled for 2 hours, just like I do every night, just in case. Also, Friday nights, Fly Ball Fridays, our MLB show. Reese Noble is one of our writers in the 110 Nation. Sports.com is the host of the show, so look forward to that on Friday nights. And then, of course, we got Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted that is brought to you on the Spreaker side of the house. I tried to do at least one show. I did one right before this show. I did talk about the top 25. I've done a show on Michael Vick, and most of them are anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes long. They're not big. We're just using that as an opportunity because we get 3 hours to use throughout the day to kind of bring you hot topics that either we don't have a show that day or don't want to wait till later on, or just things on our mind, breaking news, whatever the case may be. So you guys make sure you guys look out for those as well. You can get those feeds, those notifications if you friend me on Facebook, Mr. CJ Sports, or like me on Facebook anyway. That's my fan page. The site side and sports side of the house, 110 Nation Sports, or the radio side of the house, 110 Nation Sports Radio. There's multiple ways to find those. Also, you can check out the company site, www.the110nation.com. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, for all the latest stuff we got going on over there as well. I think I'm pronouncing this right, but I do want to make sure that I welcome Snafu. It's SNAFU Seasoning. They are sponsoring the Thursday night show. Make sure you guys check out the details. Make sure you guys go over to snafuseasoning.com, order your bottle. I think it's $6.99 or $7.99 a bottle. Some great stuff. I'll be getting my bottle as well. Also, you can get on with Steve Billmeyer, Mr. Big Sweat himself. I know he's given some bottles away on the show, so make sure you guys get up with him, the details on that as well. Glad to have them on board. I know we got a couple other prosperous situations going on, so looking forward to that. Also, we got we also got a big event coming up. It's actually coming up in March, but we're helping promote it now as we're looking forward to the opportunity of being part of a great cause. And I know it's on my fan page, or on my personal page. Trying to get back there far enough, so I'll make sure that I get everything correctly on here. There we go. We're teaming up with Seek to Destroy Cancer. You can check them out on Facebook. As I see quite a few of my personal friends, have made their way over there. They are a foundation that is raising money and awareness for a particular kind of cancer. They got a big event coming up here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, right up the road from where I'm at. They got some big names such as Ron Simmons, also known as Farouk, from the WWE, TNA World Champion EC3, former NWO member Buff the Stuff Bagwell. They got a big announcement on Friday, a wrestler / ex-player that is also going to be part of the show that the 110 Nation is going to be sponsoring as well. A big event. We're helping this great group raise money and raise awareness for this great cause. Proud and glad to be part of this whole movement in this whole event on March 12th, 2016. Make sure you guys go over there. Like I said, Seek to Destroy Cancer is their Facebook page. Make sure you go over and like it and help support. At some points, we're going to try to get even more involved in help, not only as we're going to be one of the headline sponsors and sponsor one of the participants, but also help raise money to go towards this cause as well. So great opportunity for us, and glad to be part of that, and glad to be part of that great foundation, and looking forward to that. Also, we got Dylan Martin joining us tomorrow night, and they are doing the soda tab collection once again. What they do is collect the soda tabs off the can, and they turn those into the Shriners Hospital, and in return, Shriners Hospital turns that into get money to go towards the hospital. We have been involved with that before. The time we was involved, we helped them raise, just so happened to be 110, but 110 pounds of soda tab, as I happened to make a trip down to Florida to go catch the race and see family. But we helped, we met his PR, Ken Scheffler at the time, and we also took down 3 13-gallon trash bags. I think it was at least 3, but 3 13-gallon trash bags full of soda tabs. It was like 66 pounds. They're doing it again, so make sure that if you guys are interested in help donating soda tabs, if you happen to be somebody listening that works at a bar or just happens to have a bunch of soda tabs laying around or whatever the case, I know we got a jar that we've got collected. Just let us know. We'll help you get in contact or even help you get them sent down there to help this great cause, as Dylan Martin and the Dylan Martin Racing Team does a lot of great charity work and does a lot of great things with the hospital and other events and we're just glad to be able to help spread the word and help collect soda taps. So, guys, make sure that you guys check that out as well. I didn't get to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes yet. We got our number 1 and number 2 team. And you got TCU, first of all, the number 2 team that just barely slid by their opponent. Very disappointed. Boykin, their quarterback, was highly looked upon as a Heisman Trophy candidate. A lot of good things said about TCU, obviously ranked number 2. A lot of great things said about this quarterback that's supposed to take college by storm, and they go play Minnesota and 23-17 against the Minnesota Golden Gopher team. Not very impressive to me. I'm sorry, but you're barely able to come away with a victory on a unranked team, and you do it with less than a touchdown. You allow Minnesota 341 yards. Boykin 26 of 42, 246 yards, just 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mitch Ledner of Minnesota had a decent night, 19 of 35, 197 yards, 1 touchdown. Just not really impressed with TCU at all. 246 total passing yards, 3 total rushing yards. When it's been for the turnovers, the 2 turnovers for Minnesota, ultimately TCU had 2 as well, an interception and a fumble. But Minnesota wouldn't have their 2 fumbles. Lost 2 fumbles. This game could have went the other direction, and TCU could be sitting there with a loss and kind of the outside looking in and losing their opportunity to be in part of that 4-team playoff. But was not impressed at all with TCU. I was rather kind of disappointed in what we saw out of TCU, especially since I had Boykin as my quarterback, and I was expecting a lot more out of Boykin on my Thursday night FanDuel. As I played, I think 3 nights, and out of the 3 nights, I've probably spent between $6 and $10, and I came back with $5 or $6. So I pretty much played for free the 2 or 3 days I played, and this is what it boiled down to. But I had Boykin on my team, was expecting a lot more out of Boykin, and for a Heisman Trophy candidate and someone that people were speaking a lot and highly of, I'm sorry, I was just disappointed not only in Boykin but this whole TCU team. I mean, to me, TCU is nothing more than a glorified Boise State team at this point. Yeah, you can throw up a lot of points and spank a lot of nobody's around, but you play a Big Ten team and not even that great of a Big Ten team, and you struggle. When you actually got to play a Big Ten or an SEC conference teams that have some kind of legitimacy behind them, that kind of throws some of these teams out and for a loop. So, to me, that's nothing more than what we're looking at here. Then we have Ohio State. I tell you what, I know that I am going to be somewhat partial because that is not only the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hence, that's why we are the 110 Nation. I have a lot of respect for that college. I have a lot of respect for a college that sets itself aside and makes sure that they are the. And I kind of followed that role model when we named the 110 Nation. I wanted to put our company in its own class. We want to be the. We just don't want to be some other blog and podcast company or some other podcast show. We want to be the show, the podcast, the blog site, the company. And so we are the 110 Nation. We are the 110 Nation Sports Show. There's always a madness behind my rhyme and the reason to why I do things. I just don't usually tell a lot of people. You know, I can go on of things that madness and reason behind things, where names come from, where companies' names come from, just different things. So, you know, I wish Ohio State would have started off with a tougher opponent than Virginia Tech, but, you know, at the same time, Virginia Tech was that team. They was that only defeat that Ohio State, even though as national champions, that was their only loss last year. So I can deal with we playing Virginia Tech. Coming out to a 14-0 lead was, wow, we're going to really spank this team. I was really sold that this Ohio State team was legit. And then next thing I know, we're going to halftime down 17-14 and really starting to rethink what it just happened here. Within 2 plays, we were up 14-0, and then a missed field goal and 2 turnovers later, and we're losing. Come out the second half, 28-0 straight out the gate, and just kind of really cruise from there. 42-24 the final score. The last one was kind of a give-me touchdown. But key things about that game that I really took from and was impressed with. One, watching Braxton Miller lay it out there. Diving catch for his first catch showed us really how serious he took this change, this transition from the quarterback position to the wide receiver, halfback, whatever you want to call him. He played a little bit of everything, but definitely showed us he has hands, definitely showed us he took this serious, and definitely showed us there's a lot more to Braxton Miller than a running quarterback. And so I was very impressed with that. Was very impressed with his first touchdown, his first receiving touchdown, and his only one receiving touchdown of the night when he caught it and kind of made a little bit of a move and was able to high step it down the sideline to get his first touchdown. It was a 57-yarder, it was 50-plus. But I think the thing that I took away from this game the most is when he was in the Wildcats and he went around the left side and he put the 360 spin move on the Virginia Tech defense, and that defense was shooken out of their cleats and was just left there with broken ankles as he was taking it to the house untouched. There's no doubt in my mind. I didn't get an opportunity to watch SportsCenter today as I was at work first thing in the morning until I got home. Then it was prep for Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted. Then it was time to prep for this show. I inhaled what food was on my plate, and Shorty just kind of looked at me as I shoveled it down my throat before and in between sets here. But there's no doubt in my mind that had to be SportsCenter's top play of the day. And there's probably no doubt in my mind it'd be probably top play of the week. Just watching the spin move, and it is something that you don't see every day in the NFL, none alone. You don't see hardly at all when it comes to college football. There's the type of move that Braxton Miller put on that defense was beyond real. And it showed us his ball skill. It showed us really how truly gifted Braxton Miller is at his size to have the capabilities to do the moves he did, lay it out there, have the hands he has, and have the speed he has. Obviously, this is helping him build his resume going into his final season playing college ball to really help his stock in the NFL and show these coaches and these team owners that not only am I able to throw the football, not only am I able to run the football, but I can catch the ball. I can dance around defenders. I can make them look stupid. And that's exactly what Braxton Miller did last night in his game. Cordell Jones hit 50% of his passes, I think just short of 200 yards. Seemed like 1 or 2 touchdowns. One was rushing, had an interception off a deflected pass. Had a so-so game. He put up some nice yards. I'd like a little more consistency. 50% is not that consistent. A turnover. Had some really nice touch passes. Had some really nice deep passes, called balls that were dropped that shouldn't have been. J.T. Barrett comes out, throws one pass for a touchdown, went 1 for 1 for the night. Was impressed with what J.T. Barrett did as well. The second biggest thing I took out of the Ohio State-Virginia Tech game, the fact that we did all this without 4 key players, obviously Bosa being out with the 1-game suspension, not only the best defensive player in Ohio State, but probably the best defensive player in all of college football. They were without their punt returner, which that showed dividend when Ezekiel Elliott had to play punt returner and fumble the ball. We're going to take away from his night. He had 122 yards, an 80-yard run to the house. Definitely had a great night outside of that fumbled punt. That was part of the turnaround where Virginia Tech scored 17 points or whatever at halftime. The kick returner was out, and also one of the receivers. 4 key players. It is funny to me because a lot of people, especially Virginia Tech fans, you're going to hear this a lot this year from Virginia Tech fans, we would have beat Ohio State if our quarterback went out. I guess when we came back to the second half, Ohio State did put out their quarterback. First of all, that's not the deciding factor. First of all, Ohio State was going to eventually get the ball rolling, and eventually we was going to take off on this 28-point run, 28-0 run that we went on. But what's even funnier to me is Virginia Tech fans and anti-Ohio State fans. That's going to be your argument. Well, that Virginia Tech game this or that Virginia Tech game that. Let's put this spin on it real quick. When you went up 17-14, you didn't hear Ohio State fans say, well, you know what, only reason you're winning is because we're missing 4 key players on a one-game suspension. So when Virginia Tech fans, when you decide to continue having this very ignorant and very, I'm going to try to keep this clean, argument, remember this. You lost 1 key player. And your quarterback is not even the best quarterback in the ACC, none alone in college football. We lost 4 key players, one of them being the best defensive player in all of college football. So when you have this argument, I want you to know, when you have this argument to anybody that has any kind of common sense, or you try to have this argument with any kind of Ohio State fan, remember this part right here. We were without 4 players. You went without 1 for half a game. You sound really stupid when you try to have this argument, because the only thing we're going to sit there and think is you lost 1 player that was not even the best player in your conference. We were without 4. We were still going to handle you. Don't get your panties all wadded up. Ohio State Buckeyes, there's a reason why they're number 1. When you watch this team win their conference championship, a playoff game against Alabama, and a national title game against Oregon with a third-string quarterback, and Dr. Pepper is sitting there making fun of it and talking about last year the third-string quarterback won a national title. Look, you guys are third-string. It might happen to you. Yes, that Dr. Pepper commercial, even though they throw a jab into Tom Brady, which is really stupid because he's not even guilty. But it's kind of an entertaining commercial. But, yes, they're talking about third string, and that was directed towards Ohio State, doing it with Cordell Jones. There's a reason why Ohio State's number 1. There's a reason why Urban Meyer is successful as he is able to be. There's a reason for a lot of things. There is a reason why Ohio State is going through. There's a reason why Ohio State was the first team to be unanimously voted number 1 this year. They're first team to take all votes right out the gate. There is a reason why, and they're going to prove it. Now you're going to see a Braxton Miller get better week after week. Now that he's got confidence that this transition was the right move, when you watched him lay out and dive and catch that first pass, you knew right then Braxton Miller's got all the confidence in the world that he made the right decision. Now you got Ezekiel Elliott. Now you got Braxton Miller, the deep threat. Now you got 2 legitimate quarterbacks that didn't lose a game. There's a lot of things that now just solidify this Ohio State Buckeye team. There's a reason why they're number 1. There's a reason why they are favorites to not only win the national title, but they are favorites to go undefeated. It is crazy what the expectations are for this Ohio State team. 42-24, I think a lot of people are expecting that to probably be one of the closest games all year long for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm not a big fan, and I've said this many times, to watch the same person, the same team win over and over. But I also say there's probably one, maybe two teams that I could watch win all the time. One would be the Cleveland Browns, but we know that's never happened. I think Ohio State's the other one. As long as they're playing legitimate opponents. I don't want them to watch them beat the Toledos and the Dayton Flyers or the Akrons and the Alcorn States and the Appalachian States. I want to see them beat legitimate opponents, but I don't think I could ever get bored with watching Ohio State win every single week. And I definitely know I can never get bored watching Braxton Miller do a 360 spin and leave the defense standing there and wondering what the hell just happened and turn around and see Braxton Miller's back headed towards the end zone. Definitely will never get tired of that. But anyway, we got one more key part of this show, a part that a lot of people crave. They have withdrawals until Tuesday night at this time. And what is important about this part of the night, this part of the show, we have our NHL expert, Izzo, joining us to get us ready for the 2015/2016 season. Also a Buckeye fan as well. Not the diehard Buckeye fan, but he will cheer on the Buckeye. More of a Penn State guy, but when you lose at Temple, there's really not much to talk about when it comes to Penn State. But anyway, without further delay, and I'm sure he's going to have something to say about that, but without any further delay, let's get Mr. Izzo on the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm getting ready to come on right now.
After I pee, yes.
He's on right now.
Hey, Jay, how you doing, buddy?
How you doing tonight?
That Penn State game, man, I tell you what, Jay. I tell you what, I was a little sad to see that game. 10 times? Come on now. You can't have the quarterback sacked 10 times. Come on. I'm a hockey guy, and I know you can't have your own quarterback sacked 10 times. So,
what like the first time since like 1945 or 44 or something that Temple
41. 1941.
41.
1941.
I know they showed the ball boy, and he's like been the ball boy for 40 or 50 years, and he had never seen Temple beat Penn State. I remember seeing that part of it, and then, I tend to cheer for certain Big Ten teams. I have no problem cheering Michigan State, Wisconsin, Northwestern. I was even cheering for Minnesota to beat TCU, which almost pulled that off. But there's a couple Big Ten teams I just can't muster it up and cheer for. Michigan, obviously, would be one. Penn State, because they've in their day have had Ohio State's number, is the other one that I just can't muster it up. So I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there hoping that Temple would pull it out. But I'm always a creature for I like to see some of these underdog teams. Hell, I was watching Portland State and Washington State play, and Portland State, for the first time in their school history, beat a Pac-12 team. So I got to enjoy, some history in the making. That BYU Hail Mary pass over Nebraska. I mean, some of these things that you get to see is just phenomenal, and it's, you don't get to see every day. So, I was kind of pulling for Temple, even though I'm a Big Ten man, and I know that's kind of a low blow, but it is what it is. But you have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. We did have a great weekend, and it was an exciting weekend to see college football back. I do love college football. So it was good to see that back, which only means one thing, that hockey's just getting closer to come back. And, boy, I can't wait. Training camp is all started up now. Pretty soon we'll get some preseason games getting ready to start here. And then, by this time next month, the beginning of the season will start, and we're going to have another memorable run for the Stanley Cup. And I'm looking forward to it. Tonight, I'm pretty partial to this kind of position. Me being a goaltender that I am, I wanted to cover the top 10 goalies that I'm looking forward to through this season. It's definitely going to be an interesting one at that. Being as like the old school days of, Marty Brodeur's now gone, Patrick Waugh's gone, Dominic Hasek's gone. So we have a new breed of goaltenders working their way up into the league right now, and some of them have really cemented their name in becoming potential Hall of Fame players, potential multi-cup winning goaltenders, and it's definitely going to be an interesting season. As we go forward through this year, into this year, the goaltenders I'm really looking at making another big impact for their team. Coming in probably at number 10 for me would have to be Brayton Holtby from Washington. Brayton has been there now for the past 4 or 5 seasons or so, brought up by the Capitals. Just got his huge contract this past year I covered a couple weeks ago. So looking at Brayton Holtby, definitely a solid goaltender. Definitely looking forward to see what he can do. Definitely great at controlling the puck, controlling rebounds. Carried the team into the playoffs the last couple of years. Definitely looking to see some big things. Definitely a 40-game winner. Definitely has the potential to win 40 games for the Capitals, which is good because they really don't have anything in the backup goaltending department right now that can really replace Holtby in the net right now. So I'm looking forward with his new contract and everything that we received from the Capitals. I'm looking forward to seeing what Brayton does. Like I said, he could win 40 games easily. I do believe that this contract will push him up into the Vezina conversation as the top goaltender of the league. Definitely a top 5 candidate for that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. It's going to be an interesting season for the Capitals, as is, with the addition of T.J. Oshie and his goal-scoring prowess and everything like that, and his way to just manipulate the game and everything. He can control the game on the stick, and I do believe that Brayton Holtby can carry the Capitals to the promised land. They've been making some deep cup runs the last couple of years, so I do believe that we are going to see some magnificent things from Brayton Holtby this year. Moving on I have Sergei Bobrovsky, for your Columbus Blue Jackets. I know you're partial to this team. I know you are a Columbus guy, Buckeye fan, and everything like that. So Bobrovsky is definitely go ahead, Jay.
I said OH.
OH, baby. Bobrovsky kind of floated around there for a few years trying to find a home in the NHL. And when Columbus picked him up, he certainly found a home in Columbus. Was definitely in the voting for the Vezina Trophy 2 years ago. He didn't really have a good season last year. Injuries kind of plagued him a little bit. He wasn't really having a strong supporting cast on the defensive end in front of him. But definitely a 30 to 45 game winner for a season and everything. I do believe with the addition of Brandon Saad, that is definitely going to improve the Columbus Blue Jackets as a whole, and I think he's going to bring a veteran leadership, and it's only going to help Bobrovsky in the long run. Definitely not the biggest goaltender in the league, sitting there probably about just 6 foot, under 200 pounds, 180 pounds, but very agile, very quick in the net, makes a lot of beautiful saves. It's definitely something to watch Bobrovsky play because he makes it seem so effortless. It's an amazing thing to watch. Definitely is the backbone of that team of getting them into the playoffs, which I do see them making into this year. So I think a lot of Columbus fans are not only going to be cheering for the Buckeyes, but they're also going to be cheering for their Columbus Blue Jackets. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Bobrovsky does, especially with all the additions that they've made. They still have plenty of cap room if they wanted to make maybe a mid-season or a trade deadline move to try and bolster the roster. It's definitely a lot of promise in Columbus this year, Jay, and I know that you follow your Columbus sports pretty closely, and I think this is one that you definitely want to put on the list to watch for this year.
Oh, most definitely. I'll definitely be keeping up with Columbus this year. You done got me hyped up and ready for NHL season, especially Blue Jacket hockey.
But coming in next, another goaltender that I really like, especially coming up, especially with the move that was made the trade deadline last year, was Devan Dubnyk. Devan Dubnyk was traded from the Oilers to the Minnesota Wild at the trade deadline, played 40-plus games in a row last year to get the Wild into the playoffs. The Wild were on the outside looking in, and they definitely shot up the standings coming into the playoffs this past year. Devin Dubnyk is a very large goaltender, standing at about 6'4", 6'5", 210 pounds. It's definitely a wall right there, in front of that painted ice and everything. Definitely great at rebound control. Very solid goaltenders, always square to the play. Is not really caught out of position a lot. He definitely has a lot of promise to him, and now that he has a solid team in front of him, which he was severely lacking in Edmonton, I feel he's going to definitely be in the conversation for the Vezina this year. I do believe that Minnesota is my sleeper team, and they're my preseason pick to win the Stanley Cup this year. With the talent that they have on the front line and even on the back end in front of Dubnyk, I do believe that he's found a home in Minnesota. They, extended his contract to, a couple years, 4 or 5 years, I do believe. He's definitely going to make a huge impact in Minnesota, definitely going to get him back to the promised land of their old glory days from the early 90s and everything. So I really like Devin Dubnyk. He's definitely one of those up-and-coming goaltenders that's really making a name for himself. And he's definitely going to, attract a lot of fans into the stands for Minnesota this year, which is something I do believe Minnesota needs a lot. It's a definite hockey state. There's a lot of greats that have come out of Minnesota, especially for the U.S.-born players, and he's definitely going to represent the Wild in a manner that they've been needing here, that they've been needing there. It's definitely going to be an interesting year. I do see him winning 45, maybe 42 games, somewhere in there, which is definitely going to be important for them, especially in that division that they're in, competing with the Blackhawks and the Predators and everything, who have they made amazing runs in the playoffs last year in that Central Division, where it's going to be a war zone. We're going to see a lot of teams flip-flopping, and I do believe Devin Dubnyk is definitely the key to that team and their success this year. And I do believe that they're going to do some big things. Like I said, they're my sleeper team for the Stanley Cup this year. I feel that they were maybe 1 or 2 games away from even going all the way last year. I just don't believe that they had all the chemistry they needed. But I do believe that they have faith in net now behind them, and I do believe that they're going to make a lot of noise in that Central Division this year. But moving on up, the next goaltender I have on my list coming in at number 6 is Ben Bishop of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Ben Bishop spent most of his career in L.A. His early part of his career was in L.A., backing up Jonathan Quick, which we will get to here in a little bit. Ben Bishop is another American-born hockey player, sitting at about 6'5", just under 200 pounds. Definitely, he carried his team to the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, or the Stanley Cup final last year, only losing to, Chicago, as my fellow puckheads that, watched it and everything had probably witnessed themselves. Ben Bishop is definitely in the right situation, in the right system. John Cooper has definitely pulled the reins in on that team and stirred them in the right direction with all the young talent that they have with Jonathan Drouin and Stamkos and Victor Hedman and everything like that. So definitely a lot of big things coming out of Ben Bishop. I really don't see him as a Vezina candidate. He's definitely going to win a lot of games for him, a lot of key games for him. If they can keep that goal-scoring prowess that they had last year, where they're putting 3, 4, 5 goals up, they're going to win a lot of games. The key for Ben Bishop is winning the dirty games, the close games, the 2-1, the 1-0s, the overtime wins and everything like that. That's going to be key for them to getting back into the Stanley Cup final. And if they can do that, they're going to definitely be a major player in the East, getting back to the Eastern semis and possibly even the Cup final. Ben Bishop is definitely a solid goalie, very, very big man in the net, like I said. He's definitely heading in the right direction with all the with his contract that he got and everything like that, which he earned this past year. It's definitely a big foundation stone for that team right now. It's another team that's not really having a lot of success in the backup goal division or in the backup part of the position and everything right now. So it's definitely going to be an interesting season for Ben Bishop. Hopefully John Cooper can strike that same chord again and get the production that he got out of everybody before. That's why you play the games, Jay, and you know that better than anybody. In football, basketball, It doesn't really matter. That's why you play the games. If that coach can strike that chord, hey, magical things will happen.
Most definitely.
But moving on up here, getting halfway through this list, I like Pekka Rinne. I know a couple of my boys on Bragg who are from the Tennessee area definitely like Nashville. I'd like to say hello to my fellow misfits there on Fort Bragg, all you guys that have been, transferred out and everything. I miss and love you guys. Dakota, I hope you're listening because I know you like your Pekka Rinne, 6'4", 200-pound guy. Definitely the backbone in Nashville besides Shea Weber. Definitely a definite face of the franchise. Has been there now for the past, 6 or 7 seasons. For last season, had a really bad injury. He had a bad hip injury, which really limited him 2 seasons ago. But when he came back last year, he came back with force and determination and definitely carried that team in the Central Division when they were going up against the likes of Chicago and Minnesota and everything. Pekka Rinne is definitely a solid goalie, Finnish goalie. And the Finland goalies that come over, they know how to play the game. They play the game extravagantly, know how to carry themselves in the crease and everything, never out of position. Probably one of the goalies one of the few goalies in the league that can just make a save and your jaw will drop. How did he do that? And he can really put, he puts that rush into the fans in the stands when he makes his miraculous saves like he does on, night after night. You just kind of stare at him like, how did you do that? How did you stop that? There was no way you should have stopped that. And I like Pekka Rinne as a goaltender myself. Definite, solid goaltender. Definitely a Vezina Trophy candidate. Definitely, if they make the Cup Finals, could be a Conn Smythe for Stanley Cup MVP and everything like that. So it's definitely something to watch in Nashville with Mike Ribeiro there, Shea Weber. Shea Weber, getting healthy and everything is going to be key for them because he's their big D man. Seth Jones coming off his rookie season, a very productive rookie season. So he's got some defense in front of him. Definitely going to be a positive year for the Nashville Predators this year, and I could see them making a deeper run into the postseason than what they did. Injuries kind of killed them. Nashville last year, and that's what really hurt Nashville in the long run at the end of the year. Coming in at number 4 is a hometown favorite of mine. I really, in the beginning of his career, didn't really like this guy. It was just a scary pick. But Marc-Andre Fleury from the Pittsburgh Penguins is coming in next. Marc-Andre Fleury has been in Pittsburgh since about 2000. Was drafted by the Penguins, came into the league when he was 18 years old. Was put on a very, very bad team and wasn't really expected to do much, especially in those old days. I know my friends back home listening remember those good old X-Generation days of the Pittsburgh Penguins when they were losing, 40 to 50 games a year. And it was, now seeing with with Gino and Malkin, and he's got a cup, from back in 2009. Very, very acrobatic goaltender, very solid down low, down on the ice on his pads in the butterfly style. Definitely another guy that makes jaw-dropping saves. Another one of them guys who are like, wow, man, that was a beautiful glove save. He's got his own highlight reel, floating around on YouTube and everything. Has definitely been in the thick of things and definitely has a lot of game experience and playoff experience, which is sorely needed in Pittsburgh with their young defensive core right now, which is something that, they're going to rely heavy on him. He had some subpar years, subpar playoff moments and everything like that. Was really, being hung out to dry in Pittsburgh for his lack of effort they felt at that point in time. Something that he definitely didn't deserve. something that, he's proven, by going to 2 Stanley Cups and winning one, especially going back-to-back, losing the first year and winning the second year, both against the Detroit Red Wings and everything, which was, 2 years of war, the first year going into Game 6 and losing, and then going into Game 7 and winning and making the save at the end of the game to seal the game against Nicky Lindstrom at the end of the Game 7 when Pittsburgh won. Definitely one of the fan favorites. They call him the Flower. Definitely a fan favorite. He's going to be there in Pittsburgh for a very long time. He's definitely going to be on the rise again this year. Led the league last year in shutouts. Definitely going to rely on Marc-Andre Fleury, especially with the young core defensemen with Olli Maatta and Dumoulin and everything like that on the back end, where these guys are lacking experience. But they're definitely going to rely on Marc-Andre's agility and his prowess in between the pipes this coming season. So definitely a favorite to go make it to the Cup final with the additions they've made at the trade deadline, and even in the off-season additions with Phil Kessel and everything like that. So a lot of fans in Pittsburgh are pretty anxious, because if the Steelers aren't doing good, the Pirates will be doing all right, and the Penguins will be doing all right. So there's 3 main reasons to be cheering in Pittsburgh right now back home. So they hopefully one of the 3 will definitely take it, to an extra level where people in Pittsburgh will be proud to have another championship again, because we all know them Pittsburgh people, sometimes they can just be too proud about their sports teams, which isn't a bad thing at all. So I look forward to seeing what Pittsburgh does this year. I do believe that they're going to go deep into the playoffs this year. I see them running away with the Metropolitan. I do see Marc-Andre Fleury winning, another 40 to 48 games this year. Definitely going to be on a Vezina watch list and everything like that as a top goaltender. And definitely is going to do some magical things in Pittsburgh there, Jay. And it's going to be something to watch. He's definitely one of those goaltenders that even if you don't like the Penguins, you can watch Marc-Andre Fleury play goalie and be like, wow, that's pretty. He makes it look so just effortless. It's just, it's an art to him. So definitely a team to watch this next year will be Pittsburgh, especially with the experience that Marc-Andre Fleury has, and he's had for the past, 15 years now in the league. Definitely still a young guy. He hasn't even hit his 30s yet. So definitely a lot of uplift for Marc-Andre Fleury this year. Coming in after Marc-Andre Fleury, I have Tuukka Rask of the Boston Bruins. Tuukka, as we all know, is another Finnish goalie. Finland churns out goalies, just like Nike churns out shoes every year. It's kind of ridiculous. There's always a new Finnish goalie that everybody's, up on the rise for. Tuukka is definitely a solid goaltender in Boston. Replaced Timmy Thomas for all my Boston fans who are listening. We all remember, Timmy Thomas winning the Cup, and then he ended up leaving due to some personal reasons, and Tuukka stepped right in, and it was like Boston didn't even really miss a beat. Definitely can win, 42 to 49 games in a season. He's another guy that is on the Vezina watch list. His goals against average is always solid, usually normally below 2. His save percentage for the season is usually somewhere around 92 to 94%, given the health of the team and everything like that. Definitely a big key to why Boston has had so much success in the recent years, and even their cup victory against Vancouver a couple years ago. Definitely had a chance to win one against Chicago. Anybody who remembers that series, knowing Chicago scored 2 goals in 17 seconds to win the cup at the end of the game. Tuukka was a little let down about that, but that hasn't strayed him away from being a solid goaltender like he is. Definitely churning out performances day in and day out. Can win the dirty, gritty games of 1-0, 2-1, win those overtime games in the shootout and everything like that. Definitely somewhere where you got to put traffic in front of him so he can't see the puck to score on him. It's very challenging to score on. He's probably one of the top 2 or 3 guys that no one really likes to shoot against, because he's just a wall. it's like he's a magnet, and that puck just sticks right to him. Doesn't really let a lot of rebounds out. Is definitely square to the shot a lot. Definitely is going to be another impressive season for Tuukka, despite the lacking cast that he has in front of him. Boston, I don't believe, will make the playoffs this year, especially with the exit of Dougie Hamilton, Milan Lucic, who were two main players in their offensive role for scoring goals and everything. Losing Dougie Hamilton on the defensive end is definitely something they couldn't afford to do, which was another shocker to me. I was in shock when Dougie Hamilton left. I figured their captain Zdeno Chara, being 39, was going to be on the way out, especially due to his knee problems and everything with his age, who's got a lot of miles underneath his skates and everything like that. It's going to be a difficult season for Boston, but Tuukka is definitely going to keep him in the running for maybe a wild card spot. It's going to be a very, clinging to the edge of your seat kind of season for Boston, which is kind of unfair with the rich legacy and heritage that this original six team has had, with Phil Esposito and Bobby Orr and all those guys from back in the day. Even Cam Neely, everybody who knows who Cam Neely is, he was, Seabass and Dumb and Dumber. Everybody knows who Seabass was. Cam Neely, was definitely one of the guys back in the day carrying the torch, and I do believe that Tuukka Rask has inherited that torch and is going to try and carry his team to the playoffs. Can he do it? Yes. Will it happen? Like I said, Jay, that's why they play the games, baby. That's why you play the games. Coming in at number 2 for me, this is where I kind of got a little tore up. These top 2 guys, it was definitely hard to try and break them down, because they're so different in their styles of play. But coming in at number 2 is King Henry, Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers. Definitely a solid goaltender. His name has always been brought up as probably one of the best goalies in today's game. Swedish guy. Definite face of the franchise. Carries himself in the league very well, dresses very well, represents the Rangers very well, and I do believe that he's kind of cut the unlucky breaks, going to a couple Cup finals in the last couple years, but not being able to edge it out. I think he's kind of, at this point in time in his career, he's sort of like the Dan Marino of, the NFL, He's definitely a Hall of Fame guy, but just doesn't have the hardware to back it up, with the Stanley Cup rings and everything, which is kind of unfortunate because he's definitely carried that franchise, in their dark times and even in their glory days as of recently. He definitely a 45-game winner easily. Definite Vezina Trophy winner or Vezina Trophy candidate year in and year out. He's face of the franchise. He's been mining the net there for countless seasons now, for a very long time. 10 plus years in net for the Rangers. He's definitely one of their biggest leaders in the locker room. Not really one to show bad emotion, during a game and everything like that. Always cool and collected and everything. Stands tall, stands proud, and stands on his head for the Rangers year in and year out. Definite 93% save percentage during the regular season. That number only jumps up a couple of points when it hits the playoffs for him. Kind of lacking on the defensive this year coming into this season. A lot of guys, Wade Redden's not there anymore. Marty St. Louis now gone. Brandon Dubinsky, who's now, with the Columbus Blue Jackets, he left a couple years ago. So they're really kind of making over this team right now, trying to get that right mix of young guys with veteran leadership to try and get them back to a cup and, hopefully winning another cup like they did back in '94 with Mike Richter. Rangers have definitely had some, very, very good goaltenders in their history. Definitely a proud Original Six franchise. Have been around for years, as we all know. And I look to see, I definitely see Lundqvist when he hangs up the skates. It'll be a very sad day for all my fellow goaltenders, especially all my guys, all my friends on the Goalie Gear Facebook page and everything like that. We all love Henrik Lundqvist, standout guy. Makes the best of, a worse situation, and I really look forward to seeing what the Rangers do this year, especially with their key departures and everything. And it's going to be, they're definitely going to have their hands full with Pittsburgh this year in that Metropolitan Division, like we discussed a couple weeks ago. So if they can win on the road and win them dirty games, those 1-0, gritty games and everything like that, it'll be, if they get off to a good start early, it'll definitely be a long push for the long haul at the end of the season. Definitely could make the playoffs again this year. I don't see them, taking the number 1 spot or, qualifying for the President's Trophy as the best team in the league for most points in the regular season. But definitely can get into that 4, maybe 5 spot and make some serious noise. Definitely a dangerous team. Definitely a team that no one would like to see in the playoffs and everything like that. So it's definitely going to be something interesting. But coming in at number 1, and I'm a little kind of torn about this because it's hard for me to say this, but Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price has been in Montreal now for the past 7-8 seasons, I think. Definitely, filling in that void of great goaltenders that Montreal's had, especially with the likes of Ken Dryden and Patrick Waugh, all those historical guys that are now in the Hall of Fame and have won multiple cups. He's trying to bring them glory days back to Montreal. Definitely the most skilled player with handling the puck. Really good at rebound control. Kind of has a bad streak in him and everything. Can't really. He loses his head, I feel, too easily. I don't like seeing him get down on himself. Night in and night out, he could definitely be a consistent goaltender. He's definitely one of the top 1 or 2 goalies on the Vezina watch list. Could definitely be a Conn Smythe winner if they can get over that hump and get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, return to their old former glory days. I mean, the Canadians don't have 27 Stanley Cups for no reason. They are rich full in heritage and everything with being an original 6 team, with Jean Beliveau and Maurice Richard and, all them guys of the old days and everything. They can't come back from the dead or come back out of retirement, at 80, 90 years old and try and win a Stanley Cup. It's definitely on Carey Price's shoulders now, with P.K. Subban in front of him, Andrei Markov, who is definitely a skilled veteran defenseman, even all the way up to the offense with Matt Pacioretty and all those guys. They definitely got to step up their game to help out Carey Price. Had the highest save percentage last year through the regular season. Had the best goals against average. Didn't really he missed the shutout. He was up in the top 3 guys for shutouts in a year. As we all know, Fleury got that last year. But he's definitely a good, solid goalie. And I really like watching him play. It's very fun to watch him play. He's very charismatic, very energetic, always hanging out, doing stuff for the fans, throwing them pucks during warm-ups and everything like that. I do believe last year that, during warm-ups, some kid was taking a selfie and he photobombed the kid and everything like that. So Carey Price likes to be, he likes to be that loose end guy, keep things calm and cool and collected. Try and lay back and just realize what you're doing. You're playing a game that you love, and Carey Price, lives that out to the fullest extent. And definitely going to be probably winning 48, maybe to 45 games, possibly 50 games. Definitely carries the load in Montreal. Another team that's not really solidified in the back end and the backup goalie position right now. So a lot of that weight and a lot of that 82-game season is going to fall on Carey Price this year. Definitely represents Canada well in the Olympics, as we all know, in the World Juniors even, too. I'm looking forward to him playing, maybe even possibly starting. He's definitely the front runner starting for Canada in the World Cup of Hockey that's coming up this year. So he's definitely carrying the flag for Canada in the back end for the goalies for Canada this coming year, and is always a fan favorite. you always see Carey Price jerseys everywhere and up in Montreal. And it's going to be a special year for Montreal. They always make, they're always in the playoff hunt. Definitely going to be a dangerous team to face if they make the playoffs. Definitely going to be one of those sleeper teams that'll, that if you're not careful, they'll knock your socks off real quick. And next thing you know, you're down 3-0, 3-1, and they'll just finish you off and move on to the next round. Definitely going to be an interesting year, but those are my top 10 goalies that I'm looking forward to this year. There's a couple of guys that didn't make the list, but I do feel that a couple of guys like Jonathan Quick of the Kings, Semyon Varlamov of the Colorado Avalanche, even Yaroslav Halak, these are all guys that are just outside that top 10 looking in, and I feel that all these guys are definitely worthy of Vezina trophies and everything like that. But there can only be one Vezina trophy winner, and there can only be one top goaltender. And right now, Carey Price is definitely the best goaltender in the league right now, Jay. And it's going to be another fun-filled year, and looking forward to it.
Now, I got one other topic that I want to ask you a question about. I don't want to get into too many details until all the details get out. But from over at BuffaloNews.com, they have an article came out that says grand jury review postponed in Kane's case. A grand jury review of rape allegations against National Hockey League superstar Patrick Kane was abruptly postponed Tuesday as financial settlement talks between attorneys for Kane and his alleged victim continue, according to several sources familiar with the investigation. Quotes, they have been in settlement discussions and both say they want their day in court, but both have vacated from time to time and also said, let's just resolve it. One of the sources said Tuesday. Long story short, without getting into details until more comes out, how serious is this for Kane when it comes to his NHL career? I don't know, different leagues. I'm sorry, the NFL, I know they've come out with their commercials and they're talking about no domestic violence and this, that, and the other. But to me, the only thing the NFL did was just throw some money into a nonprofit organization because the rules haven't really changed. And I'm sorry, but Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice still being in the league lets you know that it's not that serious to the NFL. So if it comes down to a settlement, which would ultimately say that Kane is guilty without going to court, how severe or how serious would this be for his NHL career if this is what ends up happening?
It could be very serious. Despite, everything that's been going on right now with not a lot being said, the team has already expressed that, if this all comes into fruition and everything comes out that, it is true that he did what he did, he will be immediately released. He will definitely lose all of his sponsorships that he gets. He's definitely a face of USA Hockey. The kid's not even, the kid hasn't even hit his 30s yet. He's got 3 Stanley Cups already. I mean, it's really unheard of to see, a guy in his mid-20s with 3 Stanley Cup rings on his finger. It's definitely going to be a scary moment. It's definitely a scary moment for the Blackhawks right now because that is one piece of the puzzle that you don't want to lose, especially with his, stick handling ability, his scoring. He's Art Ross Trophy candidate year in and year out. Puts up at 80, 90 plus points a season. 30, 35 goals. 40 goals a year. You're going to miss that. You take all them goals out. You're not going to be winning a lot of games. And it's definitely a scary moment for him right now. I can only imagine what he must be going through. Especially with the taxi cab incident. That was strike 1. Now strike 2 is this, but strike 2 is a little bit more, in depth and a little bit more severe than what strike 1 was. He definitely he's in a boat right now that he definitely doesn't want to be in. He's definitely he needs some luck to break his way. Hopefully it all works out for him. Like I said, I do know that 5 teams have reached out to try and acquire him even before all this mess gets released out into the public. A couple sponsors have already let him go. He was on the cover of EA, NHL 16 this year. They took him off the cover, and now it's just Jonathan Toews. It's definitely hurting him financially right now. And, if this, becomes true and everything, he gets charged and, he has to go before, a jury of peers and everything and gets convicted of this, he could face, jail time. And even if he does jail time, he's still going to have to deal with a fine and a suspension from the NHL. The NHL is sitting back and holding quiet until, all evidence is looked over and looked at and everything is all added up. And, when they find out, if he's guilty, it's not going to be good for him. He will definitely be released from the team. He probably wouldn't play this year. If he did, I would be certainly shocked, really shocked. But, as in the sports world, Jay, we know what that sports world's like, with AP and Ray Rice and everything like that still being in the league. I would be shocked if somebody signed him if he is released from Chicago. He definitely won't get the money that he's getting right now in Chicago. That's for damn sure. He'll have to, work his way back up into the ranks and everything, and that's something he can't afford to do. Fortunately enough, he is still young. He still has a lot of learning and growing up to do, it seems like. And we see this countless times, in football and basketball and now hockey and everything like that. And it's really unfortunate because guys got all the skill in the world, all the physical talents, the physical attributes that you need to be a great hockey player, represented Team USA very well in the last Olympics, was looking forward to seeing, if he could make the World Cup team, and I really don't see him making the World Cup team if all this comes into light and everything, that he is guilty of what he's, accused of as of right now. I know a lot of Chicago fans are biting their nails, and they got to be running out of fingernails here pretty soon because we're, just over a month away from the season starting, and if you don't have number 88 on your first line, playing on the wing, it's going to be a long, dark season for Chicago. With the losses of Brendan Saad, Johnny Oduya, Patrick Sharp, and they're still even over cap space right now. Still, Marcus Kruger still waiting to hear back from them. It's definitely a dark cloud over the city of Chicago right now. But with 3 Stanley Cups in the last 6 years, definitely a proud franchise, original 6 team, has a lot of rich history and heritage, and they definitely won't put up with this. They'll definitely let him go. It'll be different seeing him in, maybe black and gold or, in a, Bruins jersey or Rangers jersey or maybe even a Montreal jersey. He could end up in Buffalo where he was born and raised. It's definitely going to be, it's anybody's guessing game right now, Jay, and hopefully this all works out for him. He's definitely a skilled player, definitely needs to be on the ice, can represent the game really well. Definitely one of the fan favorites in the league, no matter, what team you like, what team you root for, whenever he puts on that red, white, and blue. Definitely a big fan favorite. And it's really sad to see right now. Hopefully all this blows over and nothing comes of it, and we can see that, that 88 in that black and red jersey again, possibly hoisting another Stanley Cup here soon. I wish him all the best. I wish he would grow up and learn from this a little bit. Professional athletes nowadays, man, they're just not the same with what they used to be back in the day. And, it's a sad thing to see, Jay, and it's very unfortunate for the sport of hockey right now, because this is just giving the league a black eye that they don't really necessarily need or deserve. But this is definitely one of the bigger incidents that has happened in the league in the last few years. NHL really relatively stays quiet, in off-ice news, and this is something the NHL definitely does not want attention for. They want attention because, these guys are young. These guys are, U.S. born. These guys are representing their teams and winning Stanley Cups and awards and everything like that, representing their country and everything like that. So it's definitely a black eye on the league right now. It's definitely a black eye that doesn't need to be there. Like I said, I hope everything works out for him, because seeing Patrick Kane in any other jersey besides the Blackhawks jersey is just not going to be right. in anybody's mind, really, especially in Chicago's fans. And I know them Chicago fans that are listening right now with Toby and Robbie and everybody tuning in and everything. I know they're biting their nails, hoping everything works out. Hopefully this is just, bad judgment call on one party. Maybe it's, a bad judgment call on both parties. So light still has to be shed on it, and once that light is shed on it, that's when we will find out the truth and everything like that. And hopefully that nothing really happened or anything like that. We get to see Patrick Kane on the ice scoring the prettiest goals that he can produce, and all will be well in the league. So until all that happens, this could stretch in. I could see this stretching into going into the season. I'm pretty sure. I know right now he is training at his home in Buffalo right now. I don't know if the Blackhawks have said that they want him there. Right now, I really don't know. They really don't kind of release that type of thing out into the public and everything. Everything's kind of close-knit and close to home with that sort of type of stuff. So the next couple weeks, maybe the next couple months, we could hear, Patrick Kane's name being called either, by a judge or by, the announcer at the stadium. Hopefully it's by the announcer at the stadium, because that's where it definitely belongs. Definitely does not belong in a courtroom. Hopefully, like I said, he'll hopefully grow and learn from these incidents that he puts himself into, and becomes a more mature player off the ice. Because on the ice, he's definitely got it all going on with his attributes and his skill and everything like that. So it'll be something to pay close attention to within the next couple of weeks as the season inches closer and closer, Jay.
Most definitely, we'll definitely keep running on that, and as the details come out and we get the actual details, obviously there'll be a topic of conversation. Just kind of curious how serious it is in the NHL. I applaud that there's no team that's picked up Ray Rice to this point. I think that the NFL is dropping the ball and allowing someone like that to stay in their sport and give them the opportunity. I don't care about second chances. When you're on video camera doing what he did, there's no excuse for it, and that's just one of those things that I wish the NFL say, what's in the best interest of the Shield, as they keep calling it. We don't need you in our league, and quit hoping on the return. But with Kane, we'll definitely keep our eye on that, and as the details come out and we find out more detail, obviously we'll reserve our opinions and what we got to discuss until we actually get the details, so we don't sound like some of these other shows and other people and just speculating, because that never turns out the way we want it to turn out. So we'll definitely keep our eye on that. As always, Izzo, honor, privilege. Love having you on. Love getting your insight. Love getting more and more educated as we get closer to the NHL season. You have no idea how thankful I am for having this part of the show and getting me informed on a sport that I don't necessarily know a lot of, especially going into the season, and especially having all this extra time to be able to watch more and more sports. So now it's making it where when the NHL season rolls around, I'll definitely pay a lot more attention and definitely be ready for this upcoming season. I'm definitely going to keep in touch with you throughout the week, and looking forward to having you back on next Tuesday, and you enjoy the rest of the week, and hopefully we'll be catching up this weekend or the next.
All right, Jay, you have yourself a good night too, buddy.
Yes, sir. You have a great night. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I got to once again thank ARCA Series driver Josh Williams for joining us. Had a great time with him. Looking forward for the opportunity of having him back on the show. Definitely got to thank Izzo, our NHL expert, for everything he does and getting everybody ready for the 2015 season. Don't forget tomorrow night we got Dylan Martin from Dylan Martin Racing joining us at 9:30. Always a great time, especially since he's come out of his show and likes to talk more, and so it definitely makes Lord have mercy. Definitely makes for a great time here at the 110 Nation. Don't forget Thursday night racing with Big Sweat. 9 o'clock show kicks off. Hot topic of the night is the Confederate flag NASCAR events. With them going to Darlington this weekend, obviously that became a hot topic again. Definitely want your input, so make sure you call in 718-664-9861 or message any of us that are on the show, Steve Villmeyer, myself, or Chris Creighton. We'd love to get your comments, questions, and remarks on the show as well. Don't forget, 10:30 Friday night, Flyball Fridays, our MLB show hosted by Reese Noble. Also, make sure you keep your eye out for Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted. We had our 3rd episode right before the show tonight. You can catch us on our Facebook pages, my fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the radio and the guest side of the house, 110 Nation Sports Radio, on Twitter as well. All the Mr. CJ Sports Uninterrupted are on Spreaker. You can catch it that way as well. Make sure you check out the company site, www.the110nation.com, our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Got a lot of things going on here at the 110 Nation. Make sure you guys keep up, keep tuned in, and make sure you guys hear tomorrow night. Until then, you guys have a great night.